Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and make sure to hit that like button and join us on Float because we aren't long here for YouTube. The end game is here. Many of you have been asking, what do you think will be the biggest factor as far as impact goes after the COVID-19 pandemic, quote unquote, ends? And I've been saying for a long time, poverty, but one of the factors that plays into poverty is suicides and drug abuse and all forms of different kinds of abuse. And we're going to go into that a little bit today because there are new studies finally coming out showing, as this CBS News, I know CBS, but as this CBS News article says, coronavirus pandemic may lead to 75,000 deaths of despair from suicide, drug, and alcohol abuse, study says. And as the article goes into, COVID-19 has directly claimed tens of thousands of U.S. lives, but conditions stemming from the novel coronavirus, rampant unemployment, isolation, and an uncertain future could lead to 75,000 deaths from drug or alcohol abuse and suicide, new research suggests. Let me make this clear. It's not COVID-19 that's doing that. The government is directly at fault for this. The government shutting things down, but let's carry on anyway. As it says, deaths from these causes are known as deaths of despair, and the COVID-19 pandemic may be accelerating conditions that lead to such deaths. And I quote, deaths of despair are tied to multiple factors like unemployment, fear and dread, and isolation. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, there were already an unprecedented number of deaths of despair. We wanted to estimate how this pandemic would change that number moving forward, said one of the study authors, Benjamin Miller. He's Chief Strategy Officer for the Wellbeing Trust in Oakland, California. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Wellbeing Trust reported that more lives had been lost to deaths of despair in 2017 than ever before. And I quote, the primary response at the time was to look at the opioid epidemic, but that didn't even come close to cracking all of the issues of mental health related to deaths of despair, Miller explained. Many things can contribute to deaths of despair, including loneliness, isolation, a lack of belonging, limited access to affordable health care, systemic racism, oh my God, trauma and financial concerns, like a lack of housing and food, according to the Wellbeing Trust. Well, let's look no further than the biggest polluter, the biggest thief, and the biggest murderer on the planet, government. They're the ones that shut things down. They told us that it was 3.7, a rate of 3.7 to 7% death rate from coronavirus. Now we see it's 0.08% to 0.2%. It's still shut down. They want to perpetuate the problem, and they're blaming coronavirus for the suicides of all these people. The reason it's happening is because they're forcing people out of work. They cannot work. They do not have jobs, and it's a severe mental health problem that's traumatizing children, and who knows what toll this will have on people in the future. And let's remember, when this is all finished, as far as the pandemic goes, let's add the rate of suicides in Sweden, the rates of suicides in even places like Japan, where they have a huge suicide rate, to the increase in suicides in the United States, Canada, and elsewhere where the shutdowns have been much more extreme. Now, anyway, let's continue on here. This is something that we've been warning about for months here, and it's really coming to fruition. Now the mainstream media is on it. As it says, suicides in Queens rise since mid-March compared to 2019 as concerns about mental health grow during coronavirus pandemic. And this was from the end of this April. Countless people in Queens, New York, have been committing suicide. Domestic abuse is skyrocketing, especially among cops, and there's a huge rate of increase in child abuse as well. As this article out of Bloomberg says, the next COVID crisis could be a wave of suicides. Isolation and anxiety are a recipe for substance abuse and mental illness. A new study predicts 75,000 deaths of despair. And I would not doubt if there are far more deaths, and they will never link it to coronavirus. They only prop up numbers when it includes getting grants and being able to utilize a crisis to enslave humanity, like coronavirus, the coronavirus numbers. Anyway, moving on here, let's keep in mind that even Bill Gates himself has said this would be the case, and we reported this like a month ago. as this article from Zero Hedge said, did Bill Gates just reveal the real reason behind the lockdowns? And in the article, he notes that, but in fact, most people who even who get the COVID disease are able to survive. So in that, it's quite infectious, way more infectious than MERS or SARS were. But it's not as fatal as they were, and yet the disruptions we're seeing in order to knock it down is really completely unprecedented. And he goes into, and this is the part I really wanted to get to here, because obviously he just said that it didn't kill as many people as he thought it would. Well, on the other side of it, millions could potentially die from suicide, drug abuse, lack of medical coverage or treatment, poverty, and lack of food access, on top of other predictable social, medical, and public health problems stemming from the response to COVID-19. Okay, so basically he's saying not as many people will die from coronavirus as we initially thought. No kidding, it's like 60 times less. And many more people will die from the shutdowns than they will die from the virus. Okay. And then he's like, but we need the shutdowns. We need to put chips in everyone's arms. We need to follow people around, ID 2020, contact tracing, not allow them to leave their home in places like New York unless they are traced and tracked everywhere they go, like an episode of Black Mirror. I mean, if this isn't causing an uprising, I really don't know what will. What will it take? They're basically saying we're just going to massacre a bunch of people by their own doing, by their hands, not us. It's a coronavirus that did it, not us shutting everything down and ruining people's lives. I mean, another thing I've been going into a lot here is, as this says, worst jobs report in history, 20.5 million jobs lost as unemployment rate hits record 14.7%. And then there's 52% of small businesses expect to be out of business within 6 months. Shocking new survey. But no, it's a coronavirus that's doing it. It's not the government shutting everyone down, letting Walmart stay open, then shutting down all the small businesses that compete against Walmart, propping up more monopolies so they can come in later and say, these monopolies are a problem, we need more regulations and taxation, while everyone is forced vaccinated, forced into a cashless society. Complete fascio communism takes over. They take over your rent, they take over your bills, and they say it's in order to mitigate the problem and make sure that you guys are going to be all right. Yeah. That's great. Thanks, government. Thanks for taking over the rent. That means that you own the property, therefore it's communism, and then we're supposed to just go, okay, well, it's for the greater good of the greater number to save grandma. It's really disgusting, and there's, as I've been saying, poverty leads to hunger. Hunger leads to a health crisis. Health crisis leads to more people getting sick. More people getting sick leads to more people dying. On top of that, the suicides, the crime, the drug abuse, all forms of abuse. But no, it's all for the greater good of the greater number. Don't question it, folks, or else you hate old people. Great. Is that how it's going to work? And are we going to do anything about it? Well, that's up to you guys watching today. So let us know what you think below in the comments. This is just another short video. This is a crisis that I think is important to delve into and explain. And hopefully more people will catch on and stop calling people selfish for wanting to get their jobs back and be able to feed their families and not want to live off the government 24/7 as they print trillions of dollars, bankrupting us down the line, creating massive deflation and then inflation. And as Ron Paul recently said on our show, stagflation. If you haven't seen our interview with Dr. Ron Paul or Cynthia McKinney or Dr. Shiva or any of the other people that we've recently interviewed that have been completely shadow banned, make sure to watch it. Share this video on social media. It's the only way we get seen anymore. Hit the like button on this video and check the links below. We need you guys now more than ever. Go join us on float.app and BitChute. We are on both sites and we need you guys there, because we will not be around here on YouTube longer or too much longer. They're taking down our videos en masse. So we hope to see you there, guys. Anyway, that's all I'm going to go into for now. I hope you guys check in regularly, hit the notification bell, hit subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribe Star. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against a mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like float.app, that's flote.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Float is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WHAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.